Your exclusive home of Utah Jazz basketball is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Stolen, diving for it. Mikhailuk sneaks back out to Sensabaugh, finds Cody slicing to the basket for the dunk. Collier, big steps to the lane, finds Price. Zip code open three, and he hit it. Beautiful pass by Filipowski. Bailey catches on the right side, pump fakes, puts Furpy in the jack of the box, slides by him and lays it up and in. Through the lane, Collier hands to Lowry. He rises high with the right hand, packs it, some like it hot. And Lowry marketing is that right now.
You're locked into JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome on in, everybody. JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I mean, movement happening all across the league, but the Jazz name is tied to a lot of...
They're busy.
A lot of stuff going on here. Now, some of it is that tying up loose ends on the business side of things type of deals. You saw today, of course, Lonzo Ball traded the Jazz for a couple of second-round picks, and he'll immediately head right back out the door after a negotiation with he and his agent. Jock Landale, we hardly knew ye. Wish you the best of luck. Headed to the Hawks. Cash considerations. I always want to know what that number is. Like, is it?
I'm interested in cash considerations.
Yeah, I want to know what the cash considerations are.
I'd love to talk.
Somebody who might know a little bit more about all of these things and even some more recent moves. I mean, it just keeps going here. And when that target is moving and all these things are happening and the trade deadline ends, of course, tomorrow, we'll see if there are even more moves going on. I mean, the Jazz are – it's like those earthquakes from yesterday, Ben, and then you have the ripple effects and the smaller ones that happen afterward, right?
Yeah, it's the aftershocks of the initial earthquake, and that's always going to be a part of it. You know, you acquire a bunch of players, which, you know, you're working out deals. You're trying to find out who's going to end where. And then you have them and you think, oh, how do we spread them out across the NBA and still maximize this trade deadline?
You know, Ben, you got to share your initial reaction to the trade live on your show, and you were like all of us. It's like, whoa, wow. Were you caught off guard? Did you see the Jazz making this kind of a move at this point? Because I think we all thought, well, maybe they'll wait till the offseason and we'll see. I don't think anybody thought that they would do something like this right now.
No, I didn't think they would do this in season. You know, it makes some sense, and we can talk about why it makes sense. But I thought this would be something the Jazz would maybe let the lottery play out, see where that pick was going to land. If it was top three, okay, maybe that's just what you say is going to be your team going forward, plus you re-sign Walker Kessler, move a couple of pieces or sign a couple of pieces in free agency, and I thought maybe that's the Jazz's roster next year. But clearly they weren't content with that. They really wanted to be aggressive and not just, you know, have this year's lottery pick, which they will, I assume, hold on to, but also add a major piece. In fact, I think there's a real argument that Jaren Jackson Jr. is the best player on this Jazz roster next year. So, yeah, it's a significant step forward, and the Jazz realized they had to be aggressive. They weren't going to back their way into the playoffs in the Western Conference, and I think that's what Jaren Jackson Jr. signals.
Well, I was listening right when all this was going down, and you talked a little bit more in depth after we kind of were getting the trade and the knowledge of what was going on. And immediately I always think when a big name gets here, I always think, what's the character fit? And you brought it up. You're like, this is a guy, for all intents and purposes, for what we know, is a high character guy. He's a piece in the locker room that you don't worry about. And that's stuff that matters to Danny and Austin Ainge.
Yeah, absolutely it does. And, you know, it should. You're bringing people into your community. And, you know, look at all the issues John Morant has had in Memphis. Like, it's truly a headache to have somebody who's getting arrested or getting in trouble with the law or gets a warrant, you know, is pulling guns on kids he's playing basketball with. Like, that's really crazy. And you don't hear any of that from Jaren Jackson Jr., despite the fact that he was playing next to John Morant. You know, he doesn't get mixed up in any of those issues. There's never been a problem with him off the floor. And, you know, some of that comes from his dad was an NBA player. You just kind of are around the league. You understand how the business side of it works. But, no, by all accounts, a very high-character player, under a long-term contract. Everyone seems to like him. His teammates always really like him. There's a great video circulating earlier today of a girl who throws in the basketball before every Memphis Grizzlies home game. And how sad they were going to be that she wasn't going to get to play with her favorite player anymore. Like, you know, he's a part of the community, and I suspect that will follow him.
Hey, throw her in on the trade.
Yeah, bring her here.
Yeah. Cash considerations.
Where would you rather live?
We'll throw some cash considerations your way. Yeah.
Well, Ben, you mentioned earlier, you know, we would get into some of the details of this, and absolutely will. why the timing? Why it was now the right time to make this move instead of waiting until the offseason? And was this a situation where this player just became available and it was a player that maybe they thought was going to be the best available to them? Or was this a guy they've really identified as somebody that they feel like is a good fit for this franchise?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I mean, first of all, yes, I think they recognize, they could have waited on this, but if you wait, you just never know. There's no guarantees that some other team's not going to swoop in and offer a better package, and then you had your chance to really get better and you missed it, and that's the flaw, But the other reason is the fit is so exactly right, and I think that's probably what's been underrated here a little bit. And I'll just give you an example. Like last year, the Jazz wanted to trade Colin Sexton, so they pull up the salary cap sheet of everybody in the NBA, and they say, who else makes $19.3 million that we can trade for that fits our roster? But, Yusuf Nurkic wasn't necessarily about fit. It was about moving off of Colin Sexton to give room for Keontae George. So they go down every salary player's number, which teams might be interested, and boom, Yusuf Nurkic is sitting right there. It's kind of that simple. That was the only name that really made sense for a team that was willing to make a trade. Well, go through the Jazz's needs right now. They need to get a lot better defensively. So you're looking for, an all defensive team player in the NBA. Okay, that honestly knocks it down to 20, 25 players that are active. Now you need a big guy, but not a center. Okay, so Rudy Gobert's out of the conversation. You're not looking at him anymore. Victor Wembanyama is never going to become available, so he's off the list. You also need a guy who spaces the floor a little bit and can still shoot the ball. You say, okay, well now the list is 2 or 3 players long. And then you need a player who fits between the ages of all the young players the Jazz have on their roster and Lauri Markkanen, who's 28. And if you just kind of sort that out and you sift and sift and sift, there's one name left, and it's Jaren Jackson Jr. I mean, maybe the other possibility would be Bam Adebayo, but, it's just such exactly the right fit for all of the things the Jazz needed to address. And that doesn't mean he's a perfect player. That doesn't mean, he guarantees the Jazz an all-star or a future championship. But for the things that they needed, there was one player really around the NBA that made sense, and it was Jaren Jackson Jr., and they said, if that's what we need, let's go get him.
And the Grizzlies happen to be rebuilding at the moment that you want to make that deal.
Yeah, it's good.
Boom.
Good time.
On top of it, he has to be available.
Yes.
You can't just make a team trade a player unless it's the exact right spot.
And listen, that's a guy that, in the years past, they wouldn't have been close to talking to you about, but when circumstances are what they are and you have a superstar who's a massive headache, and then you go, you know what, fire our coach. Let's figure out how to get rid of this massive headache of ours, and you know what, let's just throw it all in there. Let's figure it all out at once. As you saw this thing go down, and I remember you also talking about how you're not going to get this guy in free agency, and so you got to make a move for a guy like him. When you look at the offseason and how the Jazz are going to have to figure out Walker Kessler's future, does it make it more likely? I mean, is that move also kind of adjacent to all the other positives? Does it make a guy like Walker Kessler go, you know what, I do want to work out a deal because look what they're doing?
Yeah, I'm sure the first thing Walker looked at was saying, oh, he makes $50 million. Can they afford to pay me? Which is the same thing I questioned.
It's a fair question.
Are they going to be able to pay Walker now that they've got $90 million a year going to just 2 players in Lauri Markkanen and Jaren Jackson Jr.? It's a very real question. And the Jazz have basically told everybody that, yes, we're going to pay him. We're going to figure out what it takes to bring him back, and we're going to hold on to him. And you've seen evidence of that because the Washington Wizards today went out and traded for Anthony Davis. Well, the Wizards were one of the 2 teams that were trying to trade for Walker Kessler, and clearly the Jazz said, it's not happening. Don't wait for it anymore, and they pivoted to another move. So, yeah, the Jazz will bring Walker back. It's not going to be cheap. I'm looking at $25 million at least, I would think. If they can get him for less, I think that's a pretty good deal. But, the Jazz are committed to having another big man on the floor next to Jaren Jackson Jr., and that's a good sign. You look at his year that he won the Defensive Player of the Year award. He was sharing the floor with Steven Adams, another big. When he's at his best, they had Zach Edey on the floor. They clearly thought he was going to be better with having a big center next to him. So that's the direction the Jazz are going to follow.
I think you're probably already getting a sense of this from a lot of people within the organization, people who cover the team, and fans. The relief that this rebuild process is coming to a head. Do you get that sense? Do you feel like this is what this signals, is this team is ready to move forward and start to compete at a high level?
I mean, I think you saw it last night in the win over the Pacers. Like, there are a couple of games you win every year that are just built into your schedule. Like, you're going to win your home opener basically every year. The first game of the season, fans are geeked, players are excited, everybody's healthy. You're going to win that game. The last game before the All-Star game, if you're at home, that's a win because the other team's already thinking about Cancun or wherever they're going next. You make a trade where all of a sudden, like, the future of the roster reveals itself. Like, you're no longer tanking. And yes, the Jazz are tanking for the next 30 games. Don't get me wrong. But you see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like, all of these guys who have been hearing nothing but like, oh, the Jazz are trying to lose, et cetera. That's over. And they see it. And now not only are they excited about that, but they recognize, oh, man, I'm competing for my spot on that good team. So now I'm really going to, buy in. I'm going to start playing harder. And I think you saw that last night. So, yes, I think there's just kind of a general exuberance among the players around the roster, certainly at the top with Lauri Markkanen, that this isn't going to be, the team that they've been with over the last 3.5 years starting as soon as next season.
We saw the names that left the building, and you start to put things together there. And with Walt Clayton Jr. going out the door, and then with a 22-assist night last night, you look at it and you go, okay, that guard line, it looked too deep. And so having Walt Clayton Jr. move as part of this deal made sense. And then Isaiah Collier, I think, understands what his role is, which is he's on the rise in this organization. And what about the guys that aren't, we started to put together what the lineup is going to look like for 2026, 2027. But these other young guys that are still on this roster are a massive part of this future still.
Yeah, they are. And look, the biggest name is Ace Bailey still.
Yeah.
And I should say Keontae George. I just kind of don't count him as one of the young players so much any longer. But, if you remember back to when the Jazz traded Donovan Mitchell to the Cleveland Cavaliers, as much as the Cavs were betting on Donovan, they were actually betting on Evan Mobley, who was their other top 5 pick already on the roster, becoming like a superstar, like an Anthony Davis quality player, because you actually need somebody better than Donovan if you're going to win a championship. And they were betting on that, and they didn't get there. And that's why the Cavaliers are where they are right now at this trade deadline and making all these kind of chaotic moves. The Jazz are betting that Ace Bailey is going to hit another level of stardom and maybe still a higher level than Keontae George, Lauri Markkanen, Jaren Jackson Jr., and if he doesn't, this year's pick, ideally they move up in the lottery and they get one of A.J. DeBonta or Cam Boozer or Darren Peterson, that player can become better than Lauri Markkanen, can become better than Jaren Jackson Jr. And if that happens, this championship window truly does open for the Utah Jazz. You're going to have 2 top 30 players on your roster, maybe a top 20 or 15 player on your roster, maybe Keontae George is top 40. And that's what the Indiana Pacers had. That's how you compete for a title. That's what the Phoenix Suns had when they lost to the Milwaukee Bucks. That's how you get there. So, yes, I absolutely think this is about the young players, some of them who are not on the roster yet. But, yeah, Keontae George taking another step. Ace Bailey continuing to improve. And I think he's had a very good rookie season already.
This move makes perfect sense for the Utah Jazz and signals the end of their rebuild. And I'm looking around the other moves in the league, Ben, and I'm like, why are the Cavaliers making this James Harden deal? Why are the Wizards making this Anthony Davis deal? I can't make sense of those deals like I can the Jazz deal. What are those teams doing?
Yeah, it's desperation, and that's where you don't want to be. And getting desperate is really dangerous for sports teams. And rarely, do you throw a Hail Mary and have it come out? Now, it worked for the Mavericks a little bit. They lose Luka Doncic, they get Cooper Flagg, but a 1.8% chance of that happening. And even then, are they ever going to get back to as good as they were with Luka? I mean, they were in the finals 2 years ago. We don't know. So you don't want to put yourself in a spot where you're desperate. And I do think you need to credit Ryan Smith for never getting desperate with this Jazz rebuild, where all of a sudden he said, well, whatever, let's just accelerate and go get whatever the best player is that's available right now and just try and make the playoffs at whatever cost, even if there's no really bright future. I think as I laid out a couple of minutes ago, it's like there is a pathway for the Jazz to not just, be good next year, but get better beyond next season with these young players. Yeah, I mean, the Wizards, you've got a couple of interesting young players. I like Alex Sarr, but you're capped when Trae Young's going to have the ball for 30% of the game and Anthony Davis only plays half the games of the season. Like, you're just only going to be so good committing so much money to those 2 players. And the Cavaliers are on the wrong end of this peak. They've already been to the top. They had their best players. They had their best roster. They said, this is going to be our championship hope. And then they kind of realized that wasn't going to work anymore. So they give the Jazz 2 second-round picks today in exchange for taking Lonzo Ball back. And while the Jazz are going to eat, the remaining $3 or $4 million on Lonzo's contract by buying him out, it's going to save the Cavaliers $65 million in luxury tax moves. But look, once you're saving money, you're no longer competing for a title. There aren't a lot of teams that are saying, like, hey, we cut a bunch of money and we got better. Like, that's not how the league works. That's not how the world works. So The Cavs are, unfortunately, I think, slowly unwinding. Maybe they make one more desperation move before the trade deadline to see if they can make a title run this year, but that window is closing violently quickly.
Yeah, we were talking about those moves that could happen before tomorrow when the trade deadline does come to an end. Are there some feelings of hey, there could be more insane, desperate moves, or are there some solid moves that are out there for other teams in the league? And do you think the Jazz are done when it comes to maybe? I mean, I guess we can never count Danny Ainge out of anything, right?
Yeah, they just got 2 more second-round picks that now they can play with if they want to. They still own all their future picks. So if, the right player comes along that the Jazz don't feel like is going to put them over their win total this year that they're comfortable with, but will make them a lot better next season and fits with the roster, I could see that. Also, the Jazz have an extra roster spot open now after today's transaction. So if somebody wanted to pay the Jazz to take on a player to cut their salary and the Jazz can get more draft assets, I think that's certainly available to them. So I'm sure the Jazz are going to be very busy on the phone for the next, 16, 18 hours until the trade deadline. But I'm not sure the Jazz are going to do anything major. But, yeah, Giannis is still out there, and it does seem like there's some momentum that he could be moved before tomorrow afternoon. And as teams get desperate, they are willing to throw a lot out for a player of that caliber. And, maybe the Cavaliers would mortgage everything, every last bit they have, including Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, to try and get one more superstar to pair with Donovan and James Harden. And, would that work? Probably not. Is it enough? Probably not. But we'll see how motivated the Bucks are.
Ben Anderson, you hear him every day on Jake and Ben, of course, 10 to noon right here on the KSL Sports Zone, but you can also read his byline there at KSLSports.com as our Jazz insider for KSL Sports. So we appreciate it, Ben. Thanks for all the breakdowns, and we're looking forward to an even more eventful 18 hours here before this thing all closes down. Thanks, man.
Sounds good, guys.
There you go.
Thanks,
Ben
man.
Anderson. I think what makes this trade fun with the Jaren Jackson Jr. thing is that the other trades do feel more desperate in comparison, and it feels like Jazz fans today are kind of doing the, ooh, feel sorry for the Wizards today. Like a
You
spot.
should.
I know, or you go, ooh, the Cavaliers, I don't know if you got any better. Feel sorry for Donovan Mitchell today. This is a moment the Jazz fans haven't had in a while where they're able to go, because before, look, you know what no one's saying? And we stopped saying it because I think it got too much run and it got too overblown and it got too much. You know what I'm about to say? The big game hunting.
Yeah.
Remember that? At some point,
They just went big game hunting.
I know, and we didn't say it.
And they bagged the buck.
And we didn't say it because they were so sick of hearing it because of that one time that it was mentioned. And everyone's like,
Yeah.
what about the big game hunting? Did you call big game hunting this season's? I'm so sick of hearing that. And when they finally went out and did it, no one's talking about that. They're going, oh, look what they're doing here. This isn't just a big move. It's a franchise altering move. And without being too hyperbolic about it, look, this is a team that is used to winning and a fan base that is used to winning. But let me give you something. It's been 4 or 5 years, and some of my kids are like, I don't actually remember a Jazz team being any good. This is what I've dealt with every year.
Everybody's watching hockey now.
Yeah. So it's a shift that I think a lot of immediately it becomes a big deal next year to get into that building to see what this lineup is going to look like. And Will Hardy, there's another part of it that we haven't mentioned much of. This guy deserves big moves like that because of how steady he's been in the development of this roster, these players, and it doesn't work if he has a bunch of unruly, pissed off, ego-driven young dudes in the locker room, and I don't think you have those guys.
No, you don't. And Will Hardy deserves to coach a stacked and loaded roster, and he's finally going to get to do that next season. And I'm looking at the Jazz right now, and we were just talking about, all of a sudden things kind of make more sense. Like, okay, now Isaiah Collier, you know who he is. You know what Kyle Filipowski's role could be. The roster's coming into focus now. Until yesterday, everything was blurry, right? Like, which of these young players is going to be around?
Right.
Who are they going to keep? Who are they going to move? We've talked about on the show. Eventually, they're probably going to have to move some of these guys for an asset or two or whatever, and it turned out they used some of those guys in this trade. But when you make a deal like this, your roster now and moving forward comes into focus. We now know who their 5 guys are that are going to be that part of that core. We've listed them. The potential of having a 6'4", 6'8", 7 foot, 7 foot, 7 foot guy out on the floor is really exciting. And then you look at your bench, like Kyle Filipowski is going to be a heck of a backup 4. You talk about Jaren Jackson not being able to rebound. Guess who's really good at rebounding?
Yeah.
Kyle Filipowski. So you bring him in.
I think that's what's great.
And then Zay comes in off the bench.
Yes.
And all of a sudden you know who your rotation is moving forward as well.
So
everything's coming into focus.
The Grizzlies, they were trying to capture that, Steven Adams. I love that Ben brought this up. Steven Adams playing next to
Great point.
Triple J was when he was the Defensive Player of the Year.
Yep.
Because there wasn't all this. Everybody's like, well, he's not rebounding. It's like, guess what? That's what Steven Adams was for. That's what Zach Edey was brought in for, right? That's what Walker Kessler's going to do a ton of.
Yes.
And everybody else. I mean, even.
And Kyle Filipowski.
Yes. And I think that this is
and Yusuf Nurkic if they keep him.
Yes. There's a huge moment for them to be able to go, who cares about the rebounding number of one of the best defensive players in the league right now and a guy who scores when there are so many other guys on the floor who can get that rebound for you. So, again, is there a record for how many 7-footers have been on a roster? 7-footers that matter, I guess.
Well, the Jazz can try to break that record because they've got a good start on that. They're loaded at that center position.
Taco Fall available for
I guess
for
I
camp
shouldn't say
next
center
year?
position. Lowry's not
Yeah.
a center.
Oh, yeah.
But,
No.
And when it comes to 7-footers, they're pretty loaded.
Bring Taco Fall in.
Taco Fall's reached that point now?
I just want to get the average height of the team up just for the offseason, just for people to go, wow, look what the Jazz are doing. Just to really scare people. Is Bol? Oh, he's not as tall as Manute, though, his dad.
Is Bol still in the league?
Taco Fall certainly isn't. I mean, he is in the celebrity game. If you're playing the celebrity game, are you offended by that? If you're him? I mean, it's got to be a little bit of a gut
If you were
punch.
playing professional basketball within the calendar year and now you're playing in a celebrity game, that's not good.
Okay. Is McClung going to be there at the dunk contest?
No, he's not.
What?
He is not going to defend his title.
The Jazz bring him in. We'll make that move tomorrow. Hey,
Well, the
Utah
Jazz need some representation in L.A.
I know. There's not a soul there. All right. Hey, but SGA got hurt, right? Whereas I'm expecting there's going to be a name added at some point. We knew there was going to be a couple names added here and there.
So pay attention to that. Do you want to know who's in the dunk contest this year?
Oh, I'd be surprised if there's anybody that we recognize.
One's an all-star.
Who is it?
Jalen Duren of the Detroit Pistons.
I'm okay with that.
He's a center. He's a big guy.
Yeah.
So's Jackson Hayes of the L.A. Lakers.
Always got to do more when you're tall in those dunk contests. You don't get as many points.
Right, and then Carter Bryant of the San Antonio Spurs. Does that get you excited?
How many? 3 guys?
There's only 3.
Oh, jeez. MJ and Dominique rolling over in their graves.
Why are we still doing this? Let's just stop.
All right, we'll take a break here. We'll come back. Hey, when we do, by the way, we're getting you ready for some hockey tonight. Top of the hour, you're going to get your pregame, of course, of the Utah Mammoth. Their final game before I almost wanted to call it the All-Star break, but it is the Olympic break. But it is an All-Star matchup of sorts. So they're taking on the Detroit Red Wings, and so we'll bring you that. This portion of the show is always brought to you by the good folks at Trajan Wealth, TRAJANwealth.com. Trajan Wealth for all your trusted local needs in retirement. We'll come back, and we'll hit you up with a couple of things here. First, we'll break down a little bit more of what this hockey game means tonight for this Mammoth team and where they stand right now going into this break. So stay here, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
The exclusive home of the Utah Mammoth is on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Here comes Schmaltz with McBain and Marino. Back for Marino. In front, tapped in, and they score! Schmaltz in front, shoots and scores again! Nick Schmaltz has 2 tonight! Oh, you're killing me, Schmaltz! Brought ahead by Keller. Utah numbers ahead. Keller and Schmaltz. Schmaltz shoots and scores! Another Hattie for Nick Schmaltz! Send him!
You're locked into JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, welcome in, everybody. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Just by way of announcement here, Are the Aggies at the Pit tonight? Ooh, boy.
Yep.
Hey, Parker, you here for that or for hockey? Okay. I mean, we're going to have all of it. I mean, that's a late game, though.
Great night.
Obviously, you'd be here early.
We got Mammoth. We got Aggies. We got Cougars. Oh, my.
Settle down. Yeah. I'm glad you showed me the slap shot, so I know you're here for hockey. Also, it would be weird if you showed up for a 9 o'clock game 4 hours early. Lloyd would be like, I'm not paying you for this, dog.
Overachiever in there.
Oh, Parker is, like, definitely the guy who's going to be here. You know what I mean? Like, it's not overachiever. It's a baseline for Parker. You know what I mean? So, yeah, hockey coming up at 6 o'clock. Pre-game, 7 o'clock puck drop against the Detroit Red Wings. So, yeah, an original 6 coming to town. And, by the way, they're overperforming.
They're good.
And this is weird to me that hockey's like this. Like, remember the Jets? The best team. They were the Avalanche last year. You know what I mean? Like, they were the Avs who were just beating everybody. And they were so far and away ahead in the points race. You know what I mean? Like, it was. And then to see them go, whoosh, the Jets have gone dark, man. Nobody's heard from them. Like, you start talking about teams that are in the hunt for, and they can make a push, but they're 10 points behind the Mammoth right now. The Jets, at this point last year, like I said, they were at that 75, 80 points, something like that.
Yeah.
They were really good, and then they ended up having the most points in the entire league, and then they exit stage left early from the playoffs, which happens in the NHL.
Yes, it does.
And suddenly you have one of the best goaltenders in the entire league, and he's not having a phenomenal season, and suddenly your team goes, all right, guess we're rebuilding. I mean, Nashville, it happened in Nashville last year.
Yeah. Everybody thought Nashville was going to be a juggernaut because of the free agent acquisitions they made, and they were one of the worst teams in the league. It didn't work.
I don't get it because you don't have that in these other leagues that we cover. You know, if you've got a good team and you add to that in the NBA, you're expected to, and you usually deliver. Now you have an injury to your star player. Halliburton goes down with a popped Achilles, or if you're the 76ers and you go, you know what, we're just going to give up this year. We'll see what we got next year.
It worked out pretty well for them.
I know.
They ended up getting a franchise player in VJ Edgecombe.
It's crazy.
Look what the Spurs have done. They keep doing that.
So it's
the Dallas Mavericks.
Hockey's funny like that for me because then you have teams like Seattle who are playing better than they should be.
Anaheim's come out of nowhere.
Anaheim is coming out of nowhere. And again, these are teams that you're looking at and you go, no, you're not supposed to be in this. The Mammoth aren't supposed to have to deal with you. They're like this steady Eddie who's just been kind of moving slowly up the.
To some in the league, the Mammoth or that team was like, oh, welcome to the club.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. They're on pace, but man, it's so difficult.
When you think of the most famous, when you think of an NHL hockey team, what's the first one that comes to mind?
Of an NHL hockey team.
Someone says hockey.
Yeah.
Who do you think of?
Toronto Maple Leafs.
Okay. For me, it's the Red Wings.
The Red Wings are, I mean, that era of Steve Yzerman and them winning cups in the mid '90s. That was definitely like when I'm
coming
booting up.
They were the juggernaut.
Yes.
They had the Russians on that team.
Mm-hmm.
Scotty Bowman was the coach. They dominated the league. They were the New York Yankees of hockey at that time. I know that previous to that, it used to be the Montreal Canadiens, but for me growing up in the 90s and early 2000s, it was the Detroit Red Wings. So I've always looked at them, plus just that logo, the winged wheel.
Best sweater in hockey, by the way.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah, best.
Cameron Fry wearing the Red Wings jersey, right? So, I mean, it's that and the Blackhawks for me because I don't know why, but, Wayne's World, he's wearing the – it's funny how we attach.
I told you that. I told you that bit of trivia. Yeah.
Of the Detroit Red Wings. But you look at the recent history, and this franchise sucks. Or at least they did until this year. They're about to break a 9-year playoff drought. The Red Wings have not been in the playoffs in 9 years. The last year they made it to the playoffs was the 2015-16 season. Do you know when the last time was they won a playoff series? 2013.
13? Wow. Hey, by the way, of all-time jersey sales, sweater sales.
Yeah.
And this only goes back 25 years. The Detroit Red Wings, what do you think they are on the list?
Number one.
Not number one, which is
2.
wild. They're number 3 with the Reds, but they're the only team on the list with their away whites on
So
also
they're
the top
both
10.
on the top
yeah,
10.
which means they're which means they're number 1
because they're amazing.
So that is the best sweater. I mean, the winged wheel is
What's
phenomenal.
number 1 on that list? You got it in front of you?
Yeah, it's the red home jersey for the Canadiens, which I don't agree with.
Really?
Yeah, I don't agree with it. So, I mean, it's not that I don't agree.
Because
The sales are the sales, but
everybody in Quebec has one.
that's your team. Yeah. Number 2 is the Chicago Blackhawks.
Nice. Like I said, the Blackhawks jerseys.
4
iconic.
are the Hartford Whalers, the green throwback.
Whale?
The whale. But they were wearing the white throwback when they played
Yeah, they were.
Utah last week. The green one's unbeatable. I'm showing you the picture right here. It's
Oh yeah,
unbelievable.
no, it's great. Yeah, yeah.
Unbelievable.
I love the Whaler stuff.
It's so good.
I got to get me some.
And then actually on the list, number 7 on the list is the Mighty Ducks original eggplant
Oh
and
yeah.
jade.
Yep.
That got huge sales because of the movie.
Yep.
Because of what's his name?
Because of what's his name?
Emilio Estevez. What's his character's name?
I have no idea.
I can't remember either.
But he is in the movie.
Yeah.
It's funny that
You're
a
not
movie.
He's like you.
It's funny they named a franchise after a movie.
You missed this shot. You're not just letting me down. You're letting your whole team down. I love it. Back when coaches were coaches, man.
Anyway, it's gonna be fun to see the Red Wings on the ice tonight. It's always cool.
Gretzky era black and silver jerseys.
Ooh,
also on
for
the
the
list.
Kings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, here's what we're gonna do.
I think the Oilers have a great jersey too. By the way,
Take the break here before we get out. If you want to head down to Nephi and go check out Scotty's going to be live on Friday noon to 3 at the Grill down in Nephi. Bar W Beef, of course, featured highly at the Grill since it's their restaurant, 2264 South Main Street in Nephi. All right, we'll take the break. We'll come back, get you ready for Utah Mammoth. Coming up, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Wrapping up the hour with our picks for the best and worst moments on today's show. As JJ and Alex want to hear your best and worst of the day.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, final segment of the day before you get you ready for Utah Mammoth hockey coming up. Appreciate all of our guests joining us. Mike Folter, radio play-by-play voice of the Utah Mammoth. You'll hear him just momentarily here. Jonathan Tavernari joining us, and then, of course, our own Ben Anderson. Nice enough to break down the particulars of some of the trade deadline things. You didn't bring up your, what was the guy's name who also was part of the new deal with the Jazz?
which one?
The most recent.
Oh, you want me to go?
Yeah,
Well,
just real quick. I just want to hear the name.
Do we need
again.
to play the breaking news sounder?
Okay, let's do it
Let's
real
do
quick. Come on, Napolis. I know we're short time here, but news is news, man. We got to get this thing going.
No, we got. I mean, we can't. It's priority. It's breaking
From
news.
the never heard of this guy NBA trade deadline news of the Utah Jazz. What do you have there, JJ?
The Utah Jazz announced today that the team has completed a trade with the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Jazz have acquired cash considerations from the Thunder in exchange for the draft rights to Balsa Koprivica, which were originally acquired by the Jazz on July 18th, 2024, in a trade with the Los Angeles Clippers. The Jazz have acquired cash considerations.
We hardly knew ye. Yeah, what is that? Like, is it a gift card? I'm not trying to be mean. I'm saying I want to know what the money is. So, Mammoth hockey coming up, of course, around the corner here. We're going to get you ready. How's this one go down with the Detroit Red Wings, JJ? This is a tough team coming in, but this is a team that has been really, really hot as well, here at home especially.
Olympic break starting, right? Red Wings are on the road. Feels like a good time for the Mammoth to not only get a win, but win well, win strong.
We're big, huh?
Yeah, win well.
Win famously.
Mammoth are going to win well tonight.
Win famously.
Yes.
Just get that thing done. Okay, there you go. We'll be back again tomorrow. You've got Mammoth hockey, of course, coming up here, and we're going to get you ready. Mike Folt is going to have the call. Adrian Denny, of course, on your pregame. Stay right here dialed in, and stay tuned tomorrow. 97.5 KSL Sports Zone.